Hello, it's Gary Ceres, candidate for the 3rd Congressional District here in North Carolina. And it is about 2 o'clock in the morning right now, so you'll probably be watching this at a different time. But I had to work until midnight as a working class kind of guy. Usually doing that. I'm usually out and about working or out and about working in the district trying to earn your support and your vote. And today I decided to talk about something I was reading about in the paper. And I was reading about a bill that is before the North Carolina State House and the State Senate. And that is a bill that directly impacts the citizens of Havelock and Craven County, Carteret County, Onslow County. And it all refers to the wind turbines that are being proposed to be built off of Cherry Point. And upon reading the article, I came across a very curious problem that we have, and that is that the wind turbine lobby is actually buying off Republicans and Democrats in the State House and the State Senate. And so I got to thinking that it may be time to actually propose some federal legislation to protect our coastline off of Cherry Point from these wind turbines. And let me explain to you why. First off, the men and women that work at Cherry Point and Camp Lejeune and our air station at New River, these are men and women who have served us very well. And the retirees out of those places have often stayed in our community for years and years and years. And they're essential to this district's success, its economic success, its social success. They're working class, everyday people, just like you and I. And what happens is if Cherry Point were to go under, our entire economic system here in the 3rd District would absolutely collapse. And it would cascade. Not only would there be 15,000 employees at Cherry Point that could potentially lose their jobs, there would be an economic disaster. Cherry Point puts in more than $2.3 billion a year into the economy. They account for a large percentage of the TRICARE patients that come to all the way up here in Greenville to ECU. Not to mention Craven Medical Center and all the other hospitals in the area, all the businesses that cater to Cherry Point, all of the restaurants, all the people that work for those places. It would cascade throughout the entire economy if anything were to happen in Cherry Point. We have already lost one fighter squadron that was stationed at Cherry Point. Now, why this is so important is that the wind turbines are actually being proposed to be put in the navigation paths of our fighter squadrons that do low flying training off the coast. And specifically, that is what Cherry Point Air Station is all about, is doing those training for those fighter squadrons. So if we were to put those wind turbines there is a possibility that those fighter squadrons would be pulled out of Cherry Point and Cherry Point would collapse. And so what we have, though, is that off that coastal area is high winds, and that is why our fighters train off there. But the wind turbine companies want to build wind turbines there, and our political class in Raleigh is seeking to block our Navy from doing that and allow these wind turbines to be built. And if that happens, Cherry Point could close. We need somebody who understands this, who's not afraid to stand up to the big money and to interest groups. We have members who are running of the House who are running for Congress right now, and I ask, where have they been on this? What have they done? Why are they not talking about this? And the reason being is they're a member of that political class. They're a member of that elite. They can't understand the economic impact that it has on the average person once the Cherry Point were to close and it cascaded throughout the economy. So specifically for Havelock, but also it cascades to New Bern, it cascades down to Jacksonville, it cascades all the way up here to Greenville. Our entire economic system would collapse if Cherry Point were to close suddenly. And that's not a fantasy. That could actually happen if these wind turbines were built. So I'm proposing that if elected, I will fight for federal legislation to designate that area off of Cherry Point where our flight navigational paths are for those training flights as off limits to these wind turbine companies. I will stand up to these special interests and I will not let them ruin the economic good well-being of our third district. And it's Gary Ceres for Congress. You can find me at Gary Ceres for Congress. I'm sorry, for ceresforcongress.com. Gary Ceres for Congress on Facebook. And I ask for your vote. I ask for your support. And I hope that I can be your representative up there to stand up to the political class and to the lobbyists.